The restaurant was the kind of place where silence cost more than the food. White tablecloths, crystal glasses that caught the amber glow of chandeliers, and waitstaff who moved like ghosts. Maya had worked there for 3 years, long enough to recognize the dangerous men when they walked through the door. Tonight, one of the most dangerous sat at table 7. Park Jin-woo. Everyone knew the name, even if they pretended not to. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent, his silver tie perfectly knotted, his expression carved from stone. 2 bodyguards flanked the entrance. His driver waited outside in the black Mercedes, engine idling. Maya approached with the wine list, her hands steady despite the weight of what she'd overheard in the kitchen 20 minutes earlier. The dishwasher, Kim, speaking in rapid Korean on his phone. She'd picked up enough of the language from her ex-boyfriend to understand 3 words. Tonight, park, and rooftop. She'd thought about calling the police. She'd thought about minding her own business. But when she glanced out the kitchen's back window and saw the glint of something metallic on the building across the street, her body made the decision before her mind could. "Your wine, sir," she said, pouring the Bordeaux with practiced grace. Park didn't look at her. Men like him never did. She scanned the room. The bodyguards were distracted, one checking his phone, the other watching a couple at the bar. The other diners were lost in their own worlds of overpriced pasta and shallow conversation. Through the window, she could just make out the driver in the Mercedes, his face illuminated by his phone screen. He was smiling. No one smiled like that unless they were about to get paid. Maya set down the wine bottle. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She had maybe 5 seconds before the bullet came through the window, maybe less. She didn't think, she just moved. Her hand shot out and grabbed Park's tie, yanking hard enough to pull him forward and down. His eyes went wide with shock and rage as his chest hit the table, wine glasses shattering, silverware clattering to the floor. "There's a sniper," she hissed into his ear. "Your driver betrayed you." The words had barely left her mouth when the window exploded. Glass rained down like deadly snow. Screams erupted throughout the restaurant. The bullet meant for Park's head buried itself in the leather booth behind where he'd been sitting 3 seconds earlier. Park's bodyguards moved with terrifying speed, weapons drawn, surrounding their boss as Maya released his tie and dropped to the floor. Her hands were shaking now, her professional composure shattered along with the window. Park looked at her from his position on the ground, wine soaking into his expensive suit, his dark eyes unreadable. Then he did something she didn't expect. He smiled. "What's your name?" he asked, his accent thick but his English clear. "Maya." "Maya," he tested the word like he was tasting something rare. "You just saved my life." Outside, tires squealed. The Mercedes was gone, the driver fleeing before Park's people could reach him. On the rooftop across the street, Maya knew the sniper was already packing up, disappearing into the Seoul night like smoke. Park stood, brushing glass from his jacket, his bodyguards still hovering close. The other diners were huddled against the walls, some crying, others filming with their phones. The manager was screaming into a telephone. "How did you know?" Park asked. Maya's mouth was dry. "I heard something, in the kitchen, and I saw your driver, the way he was waiting, it didn't feel right." Park studied her for a long moment, and Maya realized she'd just inserted herself into a world where people didn't simply walk away. Where knowing too much was a death sentence, but knowing just enough might be the only thing keeping you alive. "You have good instincts," Park said finally. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card black with silver lettering. No name, just a phone number. "You also have enemies now. The people who wanted me dead will know what you did." The words hit her like ice water. Of course. The cameras, the witnesses. By tomorrow, everyone in the criminal underworld would know that a waitress at Cristallo had ruined a perfectly planned assassination. "Call that number," Park continued. "Tomorrow, I take care of the people who save my life." His expression hardened. "And I take care of the people who betray me. Your dishwasher won't see another sunrise." Before Maya could respond, Park and his bodyguards were moving toward the exit, a tight formation of expensive suits and concealed weapons. At the door, he paused and looked back at her. "You should have been a soldier, Maya. You have the instincts for it." Then he was gone, leaving her standing in a restaurant full of broken glass and shattered illusions, holding a card that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Maya looked down at her trembling hands, at the wine stains on her apron, at the bullet hole in the booth that would have been a man's skull. She thought about her student loans, her tiny apartment, her dreams of culinary school. She thought about how she'd walked into work that evening expecting nothing more than sore feet and mediocre tips. She thought about the phone number on the card and what calling it would mean. In the distance, sirens wailed. But Maya knew that by the time the police arrived, all they'd find were questions no one would answer and security footage that would mysteriously malfunction. She tucked the card into her pocket and started picking up broken glass because that's what waitresses did. They cleaned up messes, even the ones that could get them killed. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat in her studio apartment with all the lights on, the black card on her coffee table, her phone beside it. Every car that passed on the street below made her flinch. Every creak of the old building sent her heart racing. At 3 a.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it for 3 rings before answering. "You should be sleeping," Park's voice said. No greeting, no preamble. "Fear is exhausting." "How did you get my number?" "I know everything about you now, Maya Chen. Born in Los Angeles, moved to Seoul 4 years ago teaching English. Father was Chinese, mother African-American, both deceased. No siblings, no boyfriend. Culinary school dropout because of debt. You send money to your grandmother in California every month, even though you can barely afford it." Maya's blood ran cold. "Why are you telling me this?" "So you understand that I'm serious. And so you understand that I already know you're not a spy or a plant. You're just a woman who made a brave, stupid choice." A pause. "The dishwasher is dead. So is my driver. So is the sniper we found on the rooftop. These things are handled quickly." She felt sick. Him, the dishwasher, who had a family. He made his choice when he took money to betray me. His family will be compensated and relocated. They won't suffer for his mistakes. Park's voice hardened. "But you need to understand something, Maya. The Russians who paid for that hit, they now know your face. They know you cost them a very expensive operation. They will come for you." "Then what am I supposed to do?" "You call the number on the card. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., a car will pick you up." "And if I don't?" "Then you're on your own, and you'll be dead within a week." He said it without malice, just fact. 10 a.m., Maya, don't be late." The line went dead. Maya sat in the silence of her apartment, understanding that her old life had ended the moment she grabbed that tie. There was no going back to serving wine and pretending not to see the dangerous men. She'd seen too much, done too much. She looked at the card again, then at the photo of her grandmother on the shelf. The old woman who'd raised her, who'd sacrificed everything to give Maya a chance at a better life. Some choice this had turned out to be. The car arrived at exactly 10 a.m. Not the Mercedes, that was a crime scene now. This one was a black Audi, windows tinted, license plates that probably belonged to someone else. The driver didn't speak, just opened the door. Maya got in. They drove for 30 minutes, leaving the tourist districts and upscale neighborhoods behind, heading into industrial Seoul. Warehouses and shipping containers. Places where screams wouldn't be heard and bodies wouldn't be found. Her hands were sweating. The car stopped in front of a building that looked abandoned, all broken windows and rusted metal. But when the driver opened her door, Maya could see the cameras hidden in the debris, the reinforced door, the subtle signs of serious security. Inside, the building was anything but abandoned. The first floor had been converted into something between a fortress and a luxury office. Expensive furniture, artwork that probably belonged in museums, and men with guns standing at every corner. They watched her with dead eyes as she was led to an elevator. It descended. Of course it did. The real business always happened underground. The doors opened to reveal a large open space, training mats, weapons racks, punching bags, and a glass-walled office overlooking it all. Park stood in that office, tieless now, sleeves rolled up, watching a group of men and women sparring below. "Come in, Maya," he said without turning around. She entered. The office smelled like leather and gun oil. On his desk was a folder, thick, official-looking. "Do you know why you're here?" Park asked, finally facing her. "To tell me what I owe you for saving my life." He smiled. "Backwards, you saved my life. I owe you. But what I owe you is complicated because debt in my world isn't paid with money." "Then what?" Park gestured to the training floor below. "Those people down there, they're my real organization, not the thugs and gangsters people think of. These are specialists. Intelligence, security, negotiation, extraction. I run a network that moves between legal and illegal, between Seoul and the world. And right now, I need someone no one knows, someone invisible." "You want me to work for you?" "I want to train you, 6 months. After that, you decide if you want to work for me or walk away. If you walk, I'll ensure you're protected, relocated, given enough money to start over anywhere you want. If you stay..." He opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Maya recognized some of the faces: politicians, business leaders, criminals. "You become one of them, and you'll never have to worry about money or safety again." Maya looked at the faces, then at Park. "And if I say no right now?" "Then you're protected, relocated, and given money to start over. Same deal, but you miss the opportunity." He leaned against his desk. "I don't force people into this life, Maya. I offer them a choice. You've already proven you can think under pressure, that you're willing to act when others freeze. That's rare. That's valuable." She thought about her apartment, her waitress uniform, the endless cycle of barely scraping by. She thought about culinary school dreams that had died from lack of money and opportunity. She thought about her grandmother, who'd always told her to be brave. What would the training involve? Park's smile widened. Everything. Combat, weapons, languages, strategy, infiltration. You'd learn to move through my world like you belong there. You'd learn to protect yourself and others. You'd become dangerous. "I'm a waitress." "You were a waitress. Now you're the woman who saved a mafia boss's life by reading a situation no one else noticed. That's not nothing, Maya." He pushed the folder toward her. "Think about it. You have until the end of the day." Maya picked up the folder, feeling its weight. Inside was everything: training schedules, contracts, financial agreements, photos of the people she'd work alongside. It was professional, organized, real. This wasn't some action movie fantasy. This was a legitimate offer to enter a world that existed in the shadows of the normal one, where people like Park operated with impunity because they were useful to people in power. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said. "Yes." "Why me? You could find 100 trained operatives. Why offer this to a waitress?" Park was quiet for a moment, his expression distant. "Because 7 years ago I was supposed to die in a car bombing. A parking attendant pulled me out of my vehicle 30 seconds before it exploded. He said he smelled gasoline, that something felt wrong. He had no training, no experience, just instinct." Park's eyes met hers. "He died 3 days later in retaliation. I wasn't powerful enough then to protect him. I've regretted it ever since." So when I see that same instinct, that same courage in someone else, I offer them what I couldn't offer him, a chance to survive what comes next. Maya understood then. This wasn't about owing her. This was about Park's guilt, his need to save someone he'd failed to save before. But did his motivation matter if the offer was real? She looked down at the training floor, at the people who'd chosen this life. They looked strong, capable, alive in a way she hadn't felt in years. "I'll do it," she heard herself say. "The training, 6 months, then I'll decide." Park extended his hand. "Welcome to the family, Maya. Your old life ends today." She shook his hand, feeling the calloused strength in his grip, understanding that she'd just stepped across a line that could never be uncrossed. Below, on the training floor, someone fired a shot at a target. Bullseye. Maya wondered if that would be her in 6 months. She wondered if she'd even recognize herself by then. Subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss part 2. This story gets even crazier. Bell. Speech balloon comment below.